Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Blame It on the Stars, where we give you an inside look at what's going on in the universe so you can blame your problems on the stars. It is Jade here.
And it's Kara.
And this week, we're talking all about Venus entering Gemini and Neptune stationing retrograde in Aries. But in case you missed it, last week we talked all about the new moon in Cancer, as well as Mercury entering Leo, which is definitely something you're going to want to pay attention to. So if you want to know more about that, then definitely check out last week's episode before diving into this one.
And just to give you a heads up, next week we will tell you everything that you need to know about 3 upcoming transits: Uranus entering Gemini, the full moon in Capricorn, and Saturn retrograde.
And with that being said, let's dive into the episode. So the first thing happening this week is Venus entering Gemini. This happens on July 4th at 11:31 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And per usual, the date and time are from the website astroseek.com. What you need to know. Venus in Gemini will bring you a very lighthearted but also curious energy where you might be feeling more social, more mentally stimulated, and a little bit more creative in a way. This is a really good time to be exploring new ideas, new connections, or new hobbies, especially ones that you feel are more exciting or will keep you mentally engaged. And in general, you might notice that communication becomes more important in your relationships.
How you will feel. While Venus is in Gemini, you're going to feel a little bit more playful and curious. This is a good time to be social, spend time with others, and to really connect and have conversations that are new and different. Emotionally, things are going to feel a little bit lighter and more flexible because of the Gemini energy. If you've been feeling a lot of pressure lately, whether that's at home or at work, this can really help things to lighten up and to focus on things that are a little bit more fun and less serious.
So where this will show up in your life, you might notice that your social life becomes just a little bit more active. And you might notice that there's more conversations being had. You might be getting more texts, busy group chats popping off, or more invitations to hang out with others or chances to network. Creatively, you can be really inspired to try something new, start a side project, or explore an interest that you might have been curious about for a while. Since Venus in Gemini, as Kara mentioned, is a very light-hearted kind of energy, you might notice that people are feeling more in good spirits, and there could be a lot of humor and playful jokes being had during this time.
What will become important to you? With Venus in Gemini, you're going to start to place more value on curiosity and variety. This is a time where you're really going to seek mental engagement, whether that's through conversations with others, creative outlets, or just having new experiences. This is also a time to learn new things, express yourself, and connect with people who challenge the way that you think or have different experiences and are able to offer new perspectives.
If you're wondering how long this lasts, Venus will be in Gemini until July 30th at 11:57 p.m. Eastern Standard Time when Venus enters Cancer.
And per usual, certain signs will be affected more than others. The signs that are most affected by Venus in Gemini are Gemini, Sagittarius, Virgo, and Pisces. Personal placements only, meaning Sun, Moon, Rising, Mercury, Venus, and or Mars placements.
And since this is a Venus transit, certain rising signs are more likely to find love. And those rising signs are Sagittarius rising, since Venus will be in the 7th house of relationships, and Aquarius rising, since Venus will be in the 5th house of romance, and that is rising sign only. Now, there are some key dates you're going to want to pay attention to. These are the aspects that Venus will make as it moves through Gemini. Starting off with July 6th, Venus will form a sextile to both Saturn and Neptune, making this a really good day for finding clarity in your relationships or when it comes to creative ideas, especially for some of the more aspirational ideas you might have. Since Saturn brings commitment and Neptune brings inspiration, this can be a day where you're blending those two energies in a supportive way.
And then on July 7th, Venus will be trine Pluto. This is going to bring more depth and intensity to your interactions with others, making it a good time to have those deeper conversations and to open up emotionally. You also might notice that you gain some more perspective or a deeper understanding of things, or even through reflection, seeing some shifts in your values. Overall, this is just a day to reflect more deeply on the things going on in life and to connect with others authentically.
And lastly, on July 23rd, Venus will square both the North Node and Mars, which can bring some tension, but also some urgency when it comes to Venus topics like relationships, finances, or creativity, especially if anything has been kind of simmering or lingering for some time. Squares, while they do bring challenges, they also ask for growth, not perfection. So this is a good day to reassess where you want to invest your energy and also where you're being guided to evolve. The next thing happening in astrology happens on the same day as Venus entering Gemini, but it will be Neptune stationing retrograde in Aries. This will be on July 4th at 5:33 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. What you need to know. Neptune retrograde is a time in general where the fog begins to lift. Since Neptune is a very confusing energy, the retrograde can kind of reveal things that have been unclear for some time. Think the wizard behind the curtain in The Wizard of Oz, which can be a double-edged sword sometimes. While Neptune direct can have you really dreaming big, the retrograde will bring a little bit more clarity. And since this is in Aries, the clarity might focus on personal identity, your independence, and how your imagination and also your intuition fuel your sense of purpose.
How you will feel. During this time, you're going to feel more connected with your inner self. The Aries energy in this retrograde is really asking you to be honest about who you are and what motivates you. This could be a time where you are reassessing your priorities because you're noticing that some of the things that you are working on you have maybe outgrown or they're just like a little bit outdated. This retrograde period is the time to check in and reassess those things. It can be uncomfortable, but also know that it does create an opportunity for you to shift and make changes that are more in alignment with your authentic self.
Where this will show up in your life. Since Neptune is an outer planet, this will definitely have more of a societal impact more than a personal one. But on a personal level, you might notice themes around boundaries or idealism are coming up, especially in certain areas of your life where you might have been a little too idealistic. So you could feel called to reevaluate your path, how you express yourself, or your dreams about the future. Since this is going to have more of that societal impact, the way that this could show up can mean that the collective is starting to question ideas of what it means to be a leader, since Aries is the first sign of the zodiac and is all about taking initiative. It is a leader-like energy. And in general, you might notice that people around you in society are questioning what it really means to be bold. So this can also show up as like the illusion of the hustle and the grind starting to crack, and people questioning what fights are worth fighting.
What will become important to you? You're going to be more focused on being authentic and trusting yourself. This could be a time where you are starting to separate things that you truly believe and feel about yourself versus things that you've picked up from others or just energies that you have outgrown. It's a time to really get clear on what your values are, your voice, and how you want to show up. If you're wondering what this could look like, it could be like reconnecting with your spiritual side, embracing or exploring new creative outlets, or even just grounding yourself through new habits and routines so that you can create something that works for you.
If you're wondering how long this lasts, Neptune will stay retrograde until December 10th when it stations direct in Pisces at 7:23 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. During the retrograde, Neptune will move from Aries into Pisces. That change will happen on October 22nd at 5:47 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And once it's direct, Neptune won't re-enter Aries again until January 26th, 2026 at 12:38 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. In case you were wondering, when does Neptune in Aries return post-retrograde?
And per usual, certain signs will be affected more than others because this retrograde is starting in Aries and then going back into Pisces. There are a lot of signs that will be affected. While Neptune's retrograde in Aries, the signs most affected will be Aries, Libra, Cancer, and Capricorn. And then once Neptune retrograde enters Pisces, the signs most affected will be Pisces, Virgo, Gemini, and Sagittarius placements. Personal placements only, so Sun, Moon, Rising, Mercury, Venus, and or Mars placements for all of those signs.
And that is it for this week's episode. Just a reminder, next week we're talking all about Uranus entering Gemini, the full moon in Capricorn, and Saturn retrograde. So if you want to know more about that, then definitely make sure wherever you're listening to the podcast, you're subscribed with the notifications turned on so you don't miss when we post next week. But until then, that is all for now, and we'll see you all next Monday. Bye.